How do you deal with depression in college? Well, I have the answer to that. In this video, I'm going to share with you insights and strategies to help you understand and tackle depression so that you could be happier and feel better while in college.
Helping students thrive in life, college life for free.
Hey, what's up, college students? Dr. IJ here, your #1 college life coach, and welcome to College Life on Fleek, where I help you thrive in college and in life. If you're new here, welcome and consider subscribing. And hey, at any point, make sure you check out the episode notes and other videos that are available on this channel. Let's get into the info. So you're a college student, so let's talk about why college students get depressed. I think you can easily understand why they get depressed because look at the pressures that college students face. You have to deal with your academics, which is really rigorous and vigorous, and navigating that and wanting to make good grades. You're also trying to figure out your sense of belonging and your sense of identity in college. You're trying to learn about who you are, what you stand for, your values, and how you will show up confidently in spaces. That can certainly be very overwhelming and very stressful, that individuals get really confused and bogged down because they don't have everything figured out and hence fall into depression. Some individuals are experiencing some money concerns and feeling that they don't have enough money to really take care of themselves and order food or buy food and groceries or clothing or other things that they need, like textbooks and things of that sort. So money concerns definitely can lead to those feelings of sadness. Also, romantic relationships and friendships, and trying to understand your place in those relationships. And it can be a real struggle to experience a lot of heartache from relationships that do not work out because it kind of shifts how you think about yourself, which can definitely lead to feelings of sadness. Another concern has to do with first-year students in particular, where first-year students will experience homesickness. If you're so accustomed to the town you're from and your mom's home cooking and the structure of where you grew up or your household, and your teachers kind of guiding you along the way and your parents guiding you, and now in college all of a sudden you have to be more autonomous, you have to be more independent, and so you're trying to find your way in allowing yourself to be more responsible in that way. And it can get tricky, it can get overwhelming, and a lot of people will experience feelings of sadness and depression and hopelessness in that process. But trust and believe you will surely overcome that particular experience. So depression, what is it? Well, first I want to give you and offer you some statistics. 300 million people in the world are affected by depression, and 1 in 5 people will experience depression at one point in their lives or another. To understand what depression looks like or what it is characterized by this immense sadness. Some things that happen to you is that you lose energy, you lose interest in things that you usually find interest in doing, you stop being productive, you find yourself experiencing a lack of sleep or sleeping too much. You also may lose your appetite and experience great tiredness and frustration and irritation and anxiety. You experience feelings of hopelessness and helplessness, and some would characterize also feelings of sadness and worthlessness. Lots of nesses, right? Now, if you've seen that movie Get Out, there's a character that enters the sunken place, right? Where he falls into this hole and he can't get out and he's really helpless and he's in a dark place and he just can't escape it. I would describe depression as being in that sunken place where you are finding it hard to escape this hole of hopelessness. And sometimes when people who are not understanding your plight or understanding your hardship come to you and observe your behaviors because you're depressed, they may say that, oh, you're just being overly dramatic. That is certainly not the case. Your experiences are valid. They're happening for a reason. You're experiencing depression for a very valid reason. Another more extreme factor of depression is that it can sometimes lead to suicidal thoughts or feelings of not wanting to live any longer. So that's just more of the extreme outcome of individuals who are severely depressed. So let's talk about which college student gets depressed. Don't listen to what society may say, that women are emotional or or ladies are emotional and they get sad. Please, men and guys are just as emotional as anyone else, right? So I dispel that myth. Anyone can fall into depression, whether you're a guy or a girl or anyone across the gender spectrum. Anyone can fall into sadness. Anyone can experience depression. It's a very natural, common phenomenon that affects every type of college student. So don't be fooled about the stereotypes that society likes to place on women. Not true. So really quickly, I want to share my story with feelings of depression. I remember as a freshman, a sophomore student, I definitely experienced depression and I didn't know what it was. I just felt that I was incredibly sad all the time. I remember some of the things that I would do. I would stay in bed and cry. I cried when I woke up. I cried when I went to bed. I just felt this overwhelming sense of hopelessness and sadness because of broken romantic relationships. I was head over heels for this guy who was not serious about me, and that really broke my heart because I thought he was serious about me. So I experienced that heartache because I've never experienced anything like that before. And also the rigors of academics. Struggling to deal with sciences and Spanish class, which I absolutely could not stand. That's certainly not my forte. I'm much more of a social sciences kind of girl, like psychology, sociology. So I certainly didn't thrive in those hard sciences, and language, not my thing. But I overcame it, survived it, passed, and moved forward. But dealing with that, and also dealing with still worrying about what my parents thought about my grades and wanting to make good grades for my parents. And I eventually learned to not depend on their perspective, but to do college for me. And if I fail, that's on me. And I shouldn't worry about what my parents think or what anyone else thinks. And placing that huge burden over myself to carry was just not the way to go. So I certainly had experienced that depression for, I think, over a year actually, until I started placing myself in communities that really uplifted me and gave me hope for my future. So here's the problem with talking about depression. Depression affects everyone. And so I don't think there should be social stigma surrounding depression, but unfortunately there is. Oftentimes people want to characterize mental health concerns as, oh, are you crazy? You need help, like all that stuff. And people kind of shy away from going to seek the help that they need. If you injure your knee, you're going to go see a doctor to help you, right? So sometimes we go through so much stuff in life that we do need help with our mental health. And we go see professionals such as counselors, therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, to assist us, to help us get mentally better. I wish that stigma would go away because everyone needs mental health. Mental health affects every single one of us. Even if we have everything in life going on, there's something from our history, something from our past that continues to shape how we show up in the world, and we need help in many facets of our lives to be better. This issue is really important because I want to talk about suicide. You may not feel suicidal or have suicidal thoughts, but know that amongst the college student group, suicide is so prevalent. 800,000 people a year commit suicide, and most of those people are young people between the ages of 15 to 29. So that's within that college bracket, right? That college age range. So this is really important. People want to not seek the help that they need, and all this stuff bubbles within them, and then it surfaces when things have just accumulated so much within you that you explode, or it shows up in a very negative way. Rather than having tackled those quote unquote little things or issues that you were dealing with at the time, and then you don't deal with it, so it festers. And that's something I want to prevent from happening. But with the high suicide rate, I definitely felt that it was important to put this message out about depression in college, because you have to tackle this issue and nip it in the bud so that it won't manifest into something else. Another problem with college students tackling this issue of depression is that they don't know how to identify it. So hopefully this video will shed some light on some characteristics of how to identify depression, and also just a lack of resources. college students think, well, it costs too much money to go see a doctor or a counselor or a therapist. But know that you certainly have access to resources in college, which I'll talk about next. And before I talk about some of the access you have as a college student, I want to mention that tackling the issue of depression is really important, because whether we believe it or not, or whether we're able to sense it or not, it certainly has an impact on your health. So it could impact your well-being, your health, and you can be getting headaches or stomach pains or develop an ulcer or have an anxiety attack because you have not yet addressed your issues associated with sadness or depression. So here's what to do. Here's what you're going to do if you feel sad, if you feel depressed. Here's some strategies or some actions that you can take to really help yourself. Number one, you can exercise. Some of you love exercising, some of you can't stand it. I think I'm one of those people, I don't like to exercise, but I know I have to do it. So exercise, because what it does is it gets those endorphins flowing in your body, and endorphins really produce and release positive feelings within you. Another thing you can do is to make sure you do not become a hermit in your room, in your residential hall room, or if you live in an apartment or your parents' home. Do not isolate yourself. Sometimes being in solitude is really helpful, but do not isolate yourself and block yourself out of society, and make sure you go out to the field, go out to the common area and see people and talk to people, because we need people to do life with, and we need people to be happy, right? So make sure you don't isolate yourself, because when you isolate yourself, you get all wrapped up in your thoughts and worries and all of those things. So change environments, that's really helpful. The main thing I really wanted to emphasize was that you really need to take advantage of the counseling services that's available at your college or your university. Usually it's free of charge, it's convenient, it's always available during office hours for you. Make sure you take advantage of that space, because these are counselors who specialize in college students and understand the challenges associated with being a college student. And you don't have to go travel to see someone else out of campus. It's conveniently located. So make sure you take advantage of that, because there's no embarrassment with that. There is no stigma with that, even though, like I said, society wants to paint that picture. But we have to normalize mental health. We have to normalize the fact that everyone needs help at some point or another. We're humans. Another way to really tackle depression or feelings of sadness is to make sure you're always in touch with your family members, loved ones, people who you know really will always have your back in life. Talk to them about your problems. Talk to them about some challenges that you're trying to overcome, because they can definitely shed some insight as to how to tackle things, and then you get to make a more informed decision as to what you would like to do and the steps that you'd like to take to improve your situation. So when you connect with people and tell them your challenges, they can definitely support you, validate your feelings, and give you critical feedback that you need to grow and develop. But it's really important to stay connected with people to mitigate or to lessen feelings of sadness. So you also have to make sure you take care of yourself. I'm sure you've heard that term, self-care. That's something that's really emphasized on college campuses. Take care of yourself first, because no one else will. Make sure you're prioritizing your time to not allow your personal time to be taken over by things that you do for work or for academia. Make sure you're enjoying yourself. You're doing things that you enjoy, that make you happy, versus strictly studying and pulling all-nighters. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. Make sure you're just taking care of yourself, eating healthy, doing the exercising, setting those boundaries and saying, this is the only amount of time I'm going to spend hanging out, and then I need to go home and study. Like, be strict about that. Don't allow anything to tamper with your valuable personal time or the structure that you've set out for yourself. And last but not least, tackling depression or general sadness really has to do with mindset. Understand your locus of control, and knowing that there are but so many things that you can control in life. You do your best to control what you can control, but then the things that you cannot control, guess what? They will work themselves out, and you cannot worry about that. That's a major thing that college students deal with. They focus too much on things that they can't control. But just know that you are enough, you are valid, and you are capable of shaping your mindset so that you can be okay with the outcomes or the results of things. And know that the things that you can't control, they're gonna have to work themselves out. So having that stress-free mentality is really key to tackling sadness and depression. Now, it's really important for you to learn about depression and sadness because you need to be happy in college. College is not always about being happy all the time, but you're working towards just having a positive experience. So why not apply some of these strategies and insights right now so that you can learn and practice how to mitigate these feelings of sadness? Because guess what? Life gets much harder after college, and knowing how to really address these issues is really good practice for life after college. Also, addressing these issues will allow you to perform better. You'll get better grades, you'll feel happier, your relationships perhaps will be better, you'll make better use of your time, etc., etc. So that's all I have for you today about depression in college. I hope you've gained a lot from this video. Make sure you check out the additional resources below for blog information about this topic and other topics. Make sure you check out the website and additional resources that I have to offer for you to make sure you thrive in college. And again, as you can see, my t-shirt says, my goal, my vision for you is a world where college students are happy and thriving. That's why I make these videos, because I care and I'm very passionate about college students. I've been a college student myself. I understand how this stuff works. I've been working in colleges for many years, so I deeply care and I'm deeply passionate about college students, and I want the best for you. So make sure you subscribe and stay connected with this valuable information to make sure you make the most out of your college experience. And until next time, Dr. IJ here, signing off. I'll see you next time.